Snail production and management. This is an introduction to snail production, and in this course we are going to describe snail, the types of snails, that's the types of breeds of snail, and the characteristics or features of snail, such that when you see a snail you can tell what type of snail it is, and when you want to choose a snail for your enterprise, you will know what type to choose, which one will do better, which one will earn you more income, which one has better management practices, and which one earns you better returns. There are two major types of snail breeds. One is Achatina achatina, and the second one is Achacatina marginata. And this Achacatina marginata is also called giant African snail. Now, to the features of each of this type of breed. For the Achatina achatina, the major feature you use to identify this breed of snail is that it has a brown shell. It has a brownish background of a shell, and it has a zigzag that is continuous to the end, which ends at the narrow apex. That means from the broad part of the shell, the zigzag continuous line goes towards and ends at the narrow apex. For this type of snail, that is Achatina achatina, the snail flesh varies from gray to dark gray, and usually the egg matures in 10. It is mature enough to lay eggs as at 10 months old, and it can lay so much up to 300 to 400 eggs in 1 year. Achatina type of breed is a good breed for higher income, and it is very suitable for international market. There is another in the subsequently we are going to have a comparison between Achatina breed of snail and Achacatina marginata, that's the giant African snail breed of snail, in a tabular form, such that you can at a glance differentiate between these two major types of snail breeds. Now, the second breed of snail is Achacatina marginata, also known as giant African snail. And these are the features of giant African snail. The first one is that flesh of the snail is usually silver brown in color. The apex of the snail is broad, and the snail matures and is edible in 5 months. A major difference between Achacatina marginata and Achatina achatina breeds of snail is that one has a narrow apex, while the second one has a broad apex. That's the tip of the shell of one is narrow and the tip of the other one is broad. That is a major way of quickly identifying which breed of snail a particular farmer is breeding. This table shows the difference between Achatina achatina breed of snail and Achacatina marginata breed of snail. And we have features like the shell apex, the shell color, the shell markings, the flesh color, the reproduction, the egg per cycle, the egg incubation period, the size at maturity, and the lifespan of these snails as their major feature for you as a farmer to be able to identify which type of snail or which breed of snail you would rather go for than the other one. So the two types of snail are native to West Africa. That is Achatina achatina and Accacatina marginata are native to West Africa. For the second feature, that is the shell apex or the shell tip. For Accatina accatina, the shell ends as a narrow, pointy V-shaped end. While for Accacatina marginata, that's the giant African snail, that is, the shell ends as a broad, blunt tip. Broad, blunt tip. You can see in the picture previously shown in the previous slides to differentiate between the shell apex of Accatina accatina and the shell apex of Accacatina marginata. For the third feature, which is shell color, for Accatina accatina, it has a dark gray background, meaning the shell is dark gray with lighter marking. Accatina accatina at a second look may look purplish. That is, the shell color may look like purple, like a purple background. For Accacatina marginata, the shell is brownish yellow, meaning it has a brownish yellow background which is lighter compared to Accatina accatina. Feature number 4, flesh color. The flesh color in Accatina accatina is silver brown. Silver brown, a lighter shade of brown. Whereas the flesh color of Accacatina marginata ranges from albino, it could be albino, it could be dark brown, it could be dark gray. So the flesh color in Accacatina marginata, that is African giant snail, is darker, aside the one of albino, compared to the flesh color in Accatina accatina. For the reproduction feature of the snail, for Accacatina accatina, the snail reproduces between 21 to 24 months of age, whereas Accacatina marginata, the West African breed, reproduces between 9 to 10 months of age. This reproduction in breeds of snail means they lay eggs as at 21 to 24 months or as at 9 to 10 months of maturity. Eggs laid per cycle. For Accatina accatina can lay as much as 20 to 400 clutches of eggs per cycle, whereas Accacatina marginata can lay up to between 6 to 20 clutches of eggs per cycle, giving Accatina accatina a better breed for quick reproduction. For the future of egg incubation, Accatina accatina's egg hatches in 31 days, while Accacatina marginata, the West African snail, hatches in 40 days. That's 40 days. For the size they reach at maturity, Accacatina marginata attains larger size at maturity, while Accatina accatina gains smaller size compared to Akakatina marginata, the West African breed of snail. And this gives Akakatina marginata a better market value due to its larger size. But if you're looking at the rate of reproduction, Akatina produces more per cycle of laying of eggs. Now, to the lifespan feature of these breeds of snail, Akatina can live up to between 5 to 7 years before mortality, whereas Akakatina marginata, the West African giant snail, can live up to 10 years maturity before mortality. This gives Akakatina marginata 3 more years reproducing compared to Akatina. So depending on your enterprise goal, if your enterprise goal is to increase reproduction, that is, you want an enterprise that reproduces fast, you will go for Akatina. But if you want larger snail, or better, a longer lifespan, larger snail size attained, you go for Akakatina marginata. So depending on your goal, depending on your enterprise goal, that is what will determine which breed of snail you are going to raise. In this lesson, we have been able to differentiate the types of snail breeds, that is Akatina, and Akakatina marginata. We have been able to identify the features of these breeds of snails, how to identify Akakatina marginata, and how to identify Akatina. And we have successfully been able to compare Akatina to Akakatina marginata to know which one best suits your enterprise goal.